I am Jean McAllister Feather, and I am 91 years old.
Yeah. How many years have you lived in Deering?
I would have to say 90 years.
I imagine living on the farm as a child, a young person growing up, you had some chores to do?
Oh yes, I had to go out and clean out the cows, the manure that they let go. That went down underneath the barn.
What other kinds of animals did they have?
Doing well.
Oh, we had pigs and of course the young stock, we'd have the young calves. And there was my brother had a dog. So there was a dog on the farm, but it was my brother that owned it, not my father.
Did you have any chickens?
Oh yes, we had lots of them. Mother was the great one for having chickens. She'd get the babies and start from that, and start when they were small, and I'd go out and help. And as I got older, I went out and helped to feed them and pick up the eggs when they got old enough to lay eggs.
The cows were milkers, right?
Yes, they were.
Do you remember how many?
Oh God, we had over 100. Both sides, we had the barn, main barn floor, and then on both sides there were stalls that the cows were let into.
How many acres? So you collected the manure
Yes, yeah.
and did what with it?
Oh, spread it on the field so the grass would grow into hay, so they would have something to eat during the winter.
How many acres do you have for hay?
Oh,
Take a guess.
yeah, there must have been at least 10 acres for hay.
More than that.
More than that. Well, I wasn't counting out in the barn, out in the woods. I wasn't counting the field out there.
Always
Who
100 for hay.
You think so?
Oh God, yeah.
who did the milking?
My father did.
What was his name?
Archie McAllister.
Can you describe his day?
His day was busy. He was up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go out and feed the cows, and then milk them afterwards. There's always work to do out there in the barn. Feeding of the cows, they have to be fed after they were milked, and other things. Well, you have to clean out the manure, and there was a hole that the manure went down through, so that in the summertime for the fields, to get the manure out, you back the manure spreader underneath there and pick up the manure and take it out and spread it in the field.
That's quite a machine, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Did Archie have horses to
Yes,
work?
yes, he did. He had 3 horses altogether. He had a male and a female, and then one that we called a little one because we could ride him.
Describe the other horses.
Oh, they were work horses, a male and a female. They would pull the wagon when we went out in the hayfield, or even pull the cutter bar behind them too. In the hay wagon, we'd go out and pick up the hay, because it became baled hay after a while. Before the baled hay, we would throw it onto the wagon. We'd get up there and tramp it down so that Father could throw more hay into it and stomp that down.
A lot of people took part in that, didn't they? Hay?
No, it's just a family.
But every family was doing it.
Oh yes, yeah, right.
And so, did you have a big feed during that, or was it just another day in the life?
Just another day in the life. It's something that you did every day. Same thing over.
No vacations.
No vacations. Just walking the cattle around. We'd go out and we'd take the little babies, take them out around the farm, walk them. They were on a leash, and I remember walking around the farm with them.
That is the most picturesque farm on the
Yes.
planet.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because it was worked so well.
Mm-hmm.
How about when things got colder in the winter and you couldn't do a lot of things in the field? What were some of the things that happened on the farm? Thinking about cutting wood, perhaps?
Yes, yeah, that's true. Go out and go out in the woods and pick up trees that we had cut down during the summer months. But sometimes we'd bring it in during the summer, but if there was anything left over, we'd go out and get it during the winter.
Did you do sugaring?
Yes, we did. We did that. Well, about this time of the year. And yeah, go out and tap the trees, go off up into the woods. We did that. We did it around the area where, I don't know, next door to Rodney Kiblin. There was trees there that we tapped. My father tapped, I should say. So,
Do you remember the evaporator?
oh yes, yeah, there was a little place. You'd have to put wood in it, in the evaporator, in the stove. Because the evaporation pans and everything was on top of the fire, of course. So that they would, they'd have to keep that going and keep the containers full of sap. You'd have a sap in one pan, and then there'd be a middle pan that would take some of the sap that had been boiled halfway down. And then there was a pan that did it completely all the way that you wanted it. And we had a big tank up in the corner where the sap was kept so that it would flow down into the big evaporator.
Do you remember the sound inside the sap house?
No, I didn't think there was much of a sound in there. Didn't seem like there was.
How about the smell?
The smell was good. A nice, sweet smell.
How about the steam? Did they ever close the
I had an opening up in the roof so that the steam went up through there.
That's a really good description. Who helped with the buckets?
Oh, it was us kids in the family. There was 4 of us, 2 boys and 2 girls. And so we take care of going out with father to gather the sap. I mean, we'd put it into a big round container that we had that was on the wagon that the horses were pulling. And the sap would go in there, bring it back to the sap house and put it in the tank that we had up in the corner. And put the sap in there, and then it could slowly run into the evaporator.
Was the wagon on a sled or wheels?
It was on wheels.
That you're lucky. That's good. I've tried a sled, and it's just too messy.
Oh yes, yeah.
Spills everything. You lose it all. Yeah. That was a nice rite of spring, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
How about mud season? What happened during mud season? Which I know you were still sugaring then, but how did you?
Well, we didn't
with
seem
it?
to be bothered much by mud in the set that I can remember. Everything seemed to be okay.
On that side of the road, when the river would overflow, what was that like?
Well, that would come up maybe to the edge of the road, and the only time it passed over, I think, was in 1930 or something.
38.
38, yeah, 38. That it went over the road.
People
Those
talk
are big
about that,
fun.
the hurricane.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
no, I don't.
People remembered the blowdown and how devastating it was to see all the trees down. Did you go to elementary school and the West Erie Schoolhouse?
Yeah, the West End Schoolhouse, yeah.
Do you remember any of the people that went to school with you there? The names?
Oh, the Clarks, the Kiblins. I know I should remember some of the others, but it's not coming to me now.
Do you remember the teacher's name?
Davis, I think. Lois Davis.
What was she like?
Oh, she was very nice. It seems as though. And of course, we were all in one schoolroom. And there was, all the grades were in that school. It's not like it is now where they separate them. We were all together, grade 1 through 12. And then after 12, we went over we went to high school in Hillsborough.
Do you remember on the farm when you were younger, living there, were there traveling salesmen, people that would come and sell goods like baked
If they did, they spoke to my father. They didn't come into the house. They were usually out in the barn. They went in the milk room.
Were they regular?
Yeah, some of them were. There weren't too many though. That were.
Not a lot of traffic on that road.
No. More traffic now than there was.
Do you remember the trains?
Oh yes, yeah. I used to go out and wave to the conductor.
Where would they pass in relation to your farm?
Oh, they were probably from here out to the window there.
How close is that?
Oh, that's 1,000 feet. So it was close, because we'd go out and wave to the conductor.
How did you know the trains were coming?
Could hear them. Well, they were close to the house. That's why. The house was probably about, the track, I mean, was probably out there by the window to hear.
How many times a day would they run?
They would go twice, once in the morning and then come back at night.
Do you remember how they would sound?
Well, it was like a rumble. Not a roar, but like a rumble.
And how many cars would they be pulling?
Oh, they'd only be pulling a couple cars, and then the caboose.
Because they were
on.
freight.
Yeah.
And do you remember what kinds of freight you saw them pulling?
No, because it was all inside. I didn't, that I can remember. It was all inside, so I didn't see what they were pulling.
And where would they go?
They'd go over to Antrim, Bennington. I think they ended up in Peterborough too. The track did go that far. So they went through Antrim, Bennington, and then Peterborough.
Do you remember the passenger train?
Vaguely, I remember it going through. Yeah.
What was it like when the train stopped running? How did you feel?
Oh, disappointed. Because we always waved to the conductor. And he'd always wave back, which was nice. It was nice that the train went through, and even though they rumbled somewhat, but not that bad.
I would have just loved to hear the whistle. Just the, it's almost calming.
Yeah, sometimes they would put they'd blow a long one, and then it would be two short ones. Sometimes they would do, which sounded real nice.
Yeah.
You knew they were coming. Because they do it, I guess, I think they did it at the farm, and I'm not sure about Lisa's place, but they did it at our place.
Did you get off the farm much as a young person?
No, just when I went to school, that's all.
Never didn't go to Center of Daring much for...
Oh, if they had something over there, a play or something, or if they were getting together with a bunch of people, would end up going over there, but not very often.
Were there events in West Daring that happened with neighbor that were fun and memorable?
No, just, I don't know, we more or less was kind of stayed by ourselves. Stayed at our own places. We'd get together on some weekends. We might get together, but not that much. Of course, being a young kid, you would get around and go and see all the people.
How did you get around as a youngster?
Walk. Or if you were lucky, you had a bicycle.
Did you have a bicycle?
I did have one, yeah. So you could go anywhere with that. When we got older, we could go into town. But that's when we were in high school. We would go in town on the bicycle. We'd go by the back road. Because there was the main road, Todd Road, and then there was the Long Woods Road, we called it.
That was the back road?
Yeah.
It's a back road now.
Yep. That's insane.
Yeah, I guess it uses a lot. It gets used more now than what it used to, I guess.
Who did you have any friends you hung out with?
All the Clarks, the Kiblins.
Greens. Greens.
All the Greens, yeah. Down the road further, I think Donovan's was another one. Way back then.
Do you remember the changeover from horses to tractor?
I don't know what year it was. No, I don't remember.
But how did life change?
I don't think it changed all that much. I suppose it could have, but I don't remember it.
The house that you lived in, that beautiful house.
Yeah.
Did it have indoor plumbing when you were little?
No, we had an outhouse. Walked out to that and had 3 seats. Mama, Papa, and little one. It's gone now. They took it away.
Was the indoor plumbing installed while you were living there?
Yes, yeah. It was. We had I finally had running water and had a bathroom where you could have a bathtub in there.
How was that life-changing?
Well, a lot warmer. That's for sure. It was pretty cold going out there in the outhouse, but at least it was not outdoors. It was just down the end of the woodshed. Had a woodshed. Walked down to the end of that
I can feel it.
and deposit.
I know that West Deering is such a special place. Is there a certain place in West Deering, a physical place that is you have a fondness for?
No, I guess probably the field, watching it when airplanes, the Hawthorne College over in Antrim, they went down to the airport and learned how to fly down there, some of the guys. So that was memorable.
Let's talk about the airport and your affair with airplanes.
Well, it was my husband that loved airplanes. I wasn't all that crazy about airplanes. I liked my feet on the ground. But he liked flying, so he was kind of, I guess could say he started the airport because there wasn't anybody else there at that time. So it was in a perfect spot where he had 5 acres where he could fly from. We finally got an airplane. So he had a good time with that. And there were other people that got interested, and they would come with their planes. And they'd have a get-together. One year we had a get-together where it was a half a dozen more airplanes that were there on the field. Because it was not a tarred driveway, airport. It was a dirt airport. Oh.
Back then, was it like the dreams that I have, where anybody could fly an airplane as long as you got your hands on an airplane?
Oh, yes, yeah. Anybody could fly. Yeah. We had planes that came in. People finally got to know my father, and of course when my father got his airplane, he'd go to these different airports, and people that had airplanes would come over. We had a get-together one year. We had quite a few airplanes that came there, and they all parked along the grass field because the tarred field wasn't there then.
And did what after they arrived?
Oh, they just would jibber-jabber away, and then they'd take off maybe and go to another airport.
That's fascinating.
Yes, yeah.
Think of the freedom. Just I'm going to get in the airplane and, go to Keene for a gallon of milk.
Oh, right.
Speaking of milk on the farm.
Yeah.
Did you, was that one of your chores to go out and get milk? Draw milk from
No, my father would bring milk in. He'd bring it in a container, like a big round dish or pot or whatever you want to call it. He'd bring it in so that we'd have milk for the next day.
What did it taste like? I mean, does it taste different from milk today in the store?
I think probably it was because it didn't go through all the antibiotics that they use nowadays. It was right fresh from the cow itself. I remember my father squirting the milk into our mouths when we went out there when we were small. He'd be milking and we'd walk by and he'd squirt out of the mouth when we walked by.
He's probably pretty good at it.
Oh, I'm sure he was, yeah.
What did you have for breakfast?
Back then?
Yeah.
Oatmeal. That was Father's favorite, was oatmeal. I didn't like it that well. And we'd have eggs too sometimes. It would be different breakfast. It would be cereal. And then it would be, another day it might be the oatmeal. That's cereal. Eggs might be eggs. Because our mother would get our meals for us. But as we got older and got taught how to do things, then we took over and couldn't get our own breakfast.
Did you have any special family traditions that you would celebrate beyond Christmas and Thanksgiving? Were there any things that you did that were interesting?
Nope, I don't remember that there was.
What did you have for your special meals for Thanksgiving, Christmas?
Oh, we would have turkey. We didn't raise them, but we would have turkey. And then if we didn't get turkey, we'd have chicken, because we had lots of chickens. Because it was eggs. My mother sold eggs, so she had a lot of hens. She had 3 buildings that had hens in them. So we were busy with that. As I got older, I could go out and gather the eggs.
When you were in the schoolhouse, going to school, what was the atmosphere in there like? Was it strict? Was it severe?
It didn't seem like it was strict or severe, especially in grammar school. High school was different. But as far as going to school in West Deering, it was a quiet school. Of course, the teacher was very nice. Lois Davis was her name. She was the teacher, and she was very good. If we were bad, though, we have to go into a room, like a room where we kept our clothes when we in the wintertime. We'd have to go in that room if we were bad. If we spoke out of line.
Did you spend some time there?
Yes, I did.
Good for you.
Not very often.
Who spent a lot of time in there?
Who did? Oh, it seems like there was some boy, but I can't remember now what his name was.
Of course it was a boy. Everybody worked pretty hard, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
Pretty busy just working.
Right. Very true. Of course, we had the farm, and that was the busy one. Cows and hens, and so there was a lot going on there. So we didn't go very far, us family. 2 boys, 2 girls.
Did you have to work in the vegetable garden?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, we had a big field at one time that we planted vegetables in. There were also hens there at one time, too.
Did you can vegetables?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we did. They were kept down in the cellar where it was cool. We had shelves down there that we could put them on.
What kind of things did you can?
Oh, tomatoes, vegetables, not vegetables. String beans, all the things that you grow in a garden, peas. I don't remember peas that much though, but string beans I know, and tomatoes we did quite frequently.
Did you pick berries?
Oh yes, blueberries.
Where?
There was places out in the woods that we could go. And then there was another place down the road from where I lived that was up on the mountain, and you'd climb up there and pick berries.
What was that like? What do you remember?
Oh, well, they were nice and sweet. You'd eat them as you were picking them.
And how many berries would you put up?
I can't remember that we put any berries up, but we must have. But I just don't remember that we did.
Yeah, blueberry picking is great. That's just
right.
Any age.
They have now blueberries that they grow, right? So back then it was wild blueberries that we did.
Do you spend a lot of time up on the mountain on Hedgehog?
When I was young, yeah, we used to climb up there from where we lived. We'd climb up the mountain there. And sometimes we'd go over into Deering itself, and we'd go off up into the woods over there. And we'd be up on top, and we could look down and see the farm from up there. Many times we walked up the mountain on the side where the house is, just to be up there and look out all over. It was a beautiful view you could see.
Describe the view as you're standing there.
Oh, and just seeing all the houses, and especially the farm. We're always looking at that, of course. So it's just a beautiful sight being up there, looking around.
I agree.
Have you been up there?
I have.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and the farm looks pretty nice up there.
Doesn't it, though? It kind of stands out.
Nowadays they have drones that they can use. Those little machines that fly. Insects.
The nasty things.
Yes, make more noise. Did you go to any, do you remember any dances at the town hall?
I remember them, but I don't remember going to them, though.
How about Town of Hillsborough movies?
Oh, yes, we went to the movie theater. Every Saturday, we'd walk over from where I lived to go to the movies.
How much was it?
I don't remember how much it was.
How'd you get the money to go?
Well, I guess my parents must have been good about giving us the money. But of course we worked. We did what we had to do. They tell us to do things and we would do them, like take the calves out for a walk. I'd do that around the farm. And I think doing little things like that is probably what gave us the opportunity to do what we did, to go to the movies. We'd go to the matinee.
Was it hard? Was it a hard life when you look back on it?
No, actually it was a wonderful life. Too bad they don't have lives like that now. I think it would be. I think the world would be a lot better if they did.
Neighbors help neighbors.
Yeah, right. And neighbors don't talk to each other. That's right. That's why they helped each other. It was good back then. Not like it is now.
How did you communicate with your neighbors?
Just walk to the house to talk to them. Well, we had a telephone. Telephone was different. It was a crank telephone that you would ring it, and if it would be, it just mattered who you were calling. Like they would have different numbers. If you'd ring twice, you might get my aunt that lived down the road. And if you rang it 3 times, you'd get somebody else a little further up the road.
So everybody had their own specific ring, do they?
Yes, yeah.
Party line?
Yeah. Yeah, you knew when somebody else was on the line because there'd be a little light there. Or you'd pick up the receiver and you'd hear somebody talking. So you know you can stay on the line then.
Did you ever listen in?
No. Only when I checked to see if anybody was on the line. That's the only time that I would listen in, but I didn't listen to the conversation.
Do you remember the Sears and Roebuck catalog?
Yes, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Was that what did it mean to you?
Oh, it just meant that you could order anything, and of course you'd have to wait for it to come, but it was a lot easier than trying to go to a store and buy something when it was in the catalog, and you was always sure that you'd get it. They were very good about delivering.
What about during the war? What was life like during the war?
Oh, I really don't remember about that.
It's a long, long time ago. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. People have said that things were very hard to come by.
Right, that's true. They were hard to get groceries and I guess transportation. You walked. We always walked into town.
Were you closer to Hillsborough than you were Antrim?
I'd say they're about the same. I always call them 5 miles to Hillsborough and 5 miles to Antrim.
Say that again?
5 miles to Hillsborough and 5 miles to Antrim.
And what was the draw for either?
Oh, always Hillsborough, more than Antrim.
Had more going for it?
Yeah. I think there was more going on in Hillsborough. There was more stores, grocery stores in Hillsborough. And then, of course, the school was in Hillsborough.
Bustling community of Hillsborough. The bustling community.
The bustling.
Just for the sake of the tape, because I didn't hear you say it, could you just say the Sears and Roebuck catalog?
Sears and Roebuck catalog. We had Montgomery Ward, too. That was later. It wasn't the same time that Sears Roebuck.
Were the things in the catalog, presented in the catalog, a lot of things beyond your reach, beyond your affordability?
Oh, yes, yeah. I think it happens everywhere. Even going into a store.
But that didn't matter because...
No, because if you needed that, why, you would get it. Be sure that you would get it.
You could dream.
Do you remember the ice house? Can you remember how the ice was gathered?
Oh, yes, yeah. We went up to what we call the moat up there. That's a small flow of water as you're coming into Deering, West Deering. there's a moat, and that's where we would go out there, and my father would cut the ice.
How?
With a great big long saw. He'd put down, make a hole in the ice, and then he'd use that to cut out cakes of ice. And we'd put them in the ice house where it had sawdust that would keep the ice from melting.
How would he harvest the ice? How would he get the ice out of the moat?
Oh, he'd put it onto a wagon that was pulled by the horses. I guess I could say sled, not wagon. A sled that he packed it on. And we'd sit on it and ride home.
How long would the ice last?
It seemed like it would last most of the summer. Into the start of summer, I should say.
So if he had milk cows, the train would probably take the milk away too.
Yes, yeah, they did.
How'd that work?
Well, they would stop there by the house and put we had jugs. Oh, I can't remember now how big the jugs were. I know they were big, tall jugs, but probably they held 30 gallons. And that would go on the train. They would stop, and they'd pick them up halfway between my house and Kiblin's house. And that's where they would stop, right in the middle there, and take the...
Was there a structure there, or that was just the stopping place?
There was a place there, a little small building that you could put the milk into so they could pick it up.
And there would be ice in that building?
Yes, yeah.
Is that building still there?
No. No, that's been gone for a long time.
It's across the road from where we... How did you pack the ice? How did you keep it from melting?
And sawdust that came from the wood that they would chew up, so to speak, because it would have to be all small stuff in order to throw it onto the ice. Because you'd put a layer of ice down, and then you'd put a layer of sawdust on top of that, and then build up from that until you got the ice house full.
Did you have a refrigerator that used ice too?
Oh yes, yeah, the old-fashioned refrigerator. It was at the top. It was where you put your ice in.
How often did you have to replenish the ice?
I think we had to do it at least once in the morning and then another one at night.
That's a lot of ice. I would love to. I live on a pond. I would love to cut ice, but it's way too labor intensive. But I'd still like to try it.
Right. Yeah, it's quite a job to cut it. My father had a big, long saw that he would use. And you'd have to make a little hole and stick your stick your saw down in that hole and stand there and go up and down as you're cutting the ice.
That's just, it sounds like a lot of work.
Right, yeah.
Did they do it, was it just your father, or were there other people involved in it?
No, it's just my father that I remember.
Your brothers
thought
did
it
that?
was the whole neighborhood that kind of...
No, not the whole neighborhood.
Kibby and...
If they needed ice, they probably would come up and do
Yeah.
it, but otherwise, it was mostly what we had, because we had a house that we kept it in.
Right.
That house is gone now.
Yeah.
Been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
How different does the farm look today than it looked back when you were a young girl?
Well, I think it looks kind of not as good as what the farm looked. I think because they took down some where the cows go into the barn, or they used to go into the barn. And that doesn't look like it used to. It's like some part of that building was taken down that they went up in.
Does Kipling's place look about the same?
Yeah.
I can tell. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's looked the same ever since I've been there.
That used to be a post office, they tell you that.
It's still there. Do you know that?
Yes, yeah. I know the stuff is still inside.
The same with the sap house. All the stuff is in the sap house.
Yeah, nothing happened to that.
Mm.
Nobody took it down yet.
I do have a question. So I wondered what was your mother doing most of her days, and did you and your sister spend more time helping her inside the house with chores?
Yes, on the last question that you were asked. And the other one was what?
While your mom was doing, what was she doing inside the house, and how did you and your sister help her?
Oh, she always did the papering. Back then, we papered our walls. And we'd do that. Well, probably every 2 years, anyways. The old paper would be pulled off, and we'd put new paper on. She'd get it in the catalog, I think, so that she would do the papering. We didn't when we were younger. She did all that. We helped her get the things together, but that was it.
Did you help her with canning and cooking and laundry?
As we got older, oh yes, the laundry was an old-fashioned machine that you had to put stuff in there and turn the machine on, and it would run probably for about 5 minutes, or it all depended what you were washing. If you were washing really dirty stuff, you'd let it go longer than that. And then the machine had a wringer that we called, and that's where you put your clothes through that wringer so to squeeze out the water. So you didn't have to do it by hand, because it was a machine that could do that. And the water would go into the kitchen sink because there was no place for it to go. We didn't have a hose out the window or anything, so it went out the window.
So there was you drained it out the window?
Then we drained it into the sink.
There was an automatic wringer?
No,
No, a hand wringer.
it was a hand wringer. Yeah,
That's
you
a gem.
put through the
finger chomper.
yeah, take it and ring it. Yeah.
Did the water from the farm come from Hedgehog
Yes.
Mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up in that area, there's a well up
Man,
there.
I miss that.
I don't think it's there anymore because the water doesn't come down anymore into the house. The water used to be piped down from halfway up the mountain, come down into the house. Oh, there was a pump in the field, I should say. That was on the roadside, across from the house. And then it was piped into the house and into the barn.
But it was spring-fed water.
Yes, it was spring-fed.
How did it taste?
Oh, good. Wonderful. We'd even, and then we finally put, I think, something on the faucet itself that kind of drained out if there was any dirt or anything. But it seems like it was mostly clear. So we drank it.
Best water ever.
Yeah. Now they don't have it anymore.
No, I don't.
No.
Can't go get it in the summer anymore.
No. Yeah, we used to go up and get it up there. I don't know what it smells like now. I haven't been in there for a long time.
Well, what did it smell like before?
Oh, I had that nice cow aroma. I don't know how I can explain or describe a cow aroma.
Oh, I've lived on a dairy farm. I know what cow aroma smells like.
It's just that, you know, you saw it when you're growing up. Well, it's an awful smell. But when you get older and you don't smell that smell, and then like when the roses took over and they have all these animals there, and it just smells the same. And it just hits that memory,
Yes.
for me anyway, like, you know, like,
Triggers.
it's like going back like, you know,
Yeah.
50 years of, because when she grew up to when I grew up was along, the farm hadn't changed much. She still had the crank washer, and you know, I'd help make butter. That's one of my favorite memories,
Oh,
making
yeah.
butter with
That's
Graham.
right, too. I didn't mention
And
baby
then
butter.
donuts.
And
She
she
made the best donuts.
Was known for her donut, yeah.
You
And
were
she-
known for your donuts?
No, not me. My mother was.
And they took in steak kids too.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I was thinking about that.
How did your mother make donuts? I mean,
Just-
describe her making the donuts.
Well, she just started, of course, from scratch, and she'd put it down there on the table and throw the flour in and the milk and the eggs, and then it would beat it up with an old-fashioned beater. She did get an electric one after a while, because
What-
we did have electricity.
What did she use for cooking? Remember what she cooked them in?
What she cooked them in?
Yeah.
I don't know what they call the stove, the container now.
Were they in oil?
Oh yeah, she used oil.
Lard, it was fat.
That's
What's
probably
that?
tasted
So
It's the
good.
real deal.
Yeah.
It's probably the real deal, the
Yeah.
lard, nothing like that.
Oh, lard, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
And do you remember churning butter?
Oh yes, yeah. We'd go out in the woodshed, had the churn out there. And we also had butter. Ice cream. We made ice cream in the old-fashioned container. Yes, you'd crank it and turn it around and around. Take quite a while. I think it was a half hour at least. May have been longer.
Gems. You're giving me gems here. This is so great.
Because you had to put ice into the container.
How about butter? How hard was that to do? How long?
I don't know, because my mother did that mostly. We didn't have much to do with that.
Yeah. Well, you're wonderful. That was great.
Oh,
You did really great, Mom.
There's always more. There's always more that we want, you know. But we can always do this again. But thank you. That was good. I hope it wasn't.
Okay.
I hope it wasn't.
no, I just hope I was doing the right thing.
No, you're great. Yeah, you.
Excellent.
Everything you say is, I'm remembering, and I can't wait for you to hear the tape.